So I finished the pants. Here they go.
Yeah.
Good morning, you guys. So it's like 8:45. Say good morning.
Good morning.
And today we're making Gucci pants. If I look hella crazy, it's because it's early in the morning and I wanted to start vlogging about the Gucci pants right now.
So you can make some slime, right?
No, we're not making slime. We're making Gucci. Say Gucci.
Gucci.
Okay, you guys. So I got dressed. I don't look crusty and dusty anymore. I put on my Lord Farquaad wig, put a little bit of curls in it, even though they dropped. Now I am ready to DIY, but I need to let you guys know a little bit something about this DIY. One, if you see this picture on the side right here, these are the pants that I was inspired by to make this Gucci tutorial, but they're made out of knit fabric. And I'm going to be making mine out of windbreaker fabric. Also, I was inspired by the men's Gucci sweatpants. So I got the trim that matched that type of pants. And then also, I'm going to be using eyelets on my thing. Of course, it doesn't match the actual pants, which I'll show you a closer picture or whatever because this thing ain't focusing. And I wanted the gold ones. You can of course spray paint them to match, or paint with nail polish to match your fabric like the Gucci pants actually are, because the eyelet or the buttonhole that they created on the pants matches the actual fabric. But I tried that and it didn't work out. It didn't look good. I'll show you right here. It looked a mess. I didn't like it. And I don't even have the circle option that they have on the pants. So I'm using eyelets. And if you want to follow me, then we're going to be looking good. If you want to do Gucci, then go ahead. Be basic like Gucci. So enough of me talking. Let's get into this extra DIY Gucci tutorial. So you guys, you're going to need 2 yards of your windbreaker fabric or your knit fabric, whatever one that you choose. It's all going to work the same. The pattern will work the same. You will also need 2 yards of your lining fabric. Choose whatever color you like. You're going to need 2 yards of your Gucci trim. You're also going to need 1.5 yards of elastic and 1.5 yards of the rope trim. You'll need threads that match your fabrics and also a pack of eyelets. For your rope trim, you're going to need some fabric glue. I use Fabric Fusion. Also, you'll need some safety pins and then all the things that you need for pattern making and sewing. I'm actually going to have the entire materials list down below in the description box because I know this is a lot of stuff to gather up together, but I got you. Okay, now I'm showing you your pieces. You're going to have 2 front legs and 2 back legs, and I'm showing you that front piece is a little bit shorter in the crotch area than in the back piece. As you can see, it's a little shorter. So there's your front and then there's your back. And then there is 2 pieces to your waistband, 4 pieces for your ankle bands, and then 4 pieces of your pockets. And then these are my lining pieces right here. Same thing as the front and the back of your other fabric. It's the same thing, essentially. So I'm just showing you all my pieces that I have for this tutorial. And we're gonna start off with the front piece right now. We're just gonna mark 2 inches down for your pocket, and you just need to put a little dash 2 inches down. That's where we need to place our pocket later on. And then I'm just gonna make that same little marking on all of my pieces on the side seams. So just follow what I'm doing, so then your pockets can be looking good and not be all lopsided and stuff. So after you're done marking everything, you need to mark a 1/2 inch into your pocket pieces like I'm doing right here. I'm marking that on there so it's just easier when I'm pinning. You don't necessarily have to do this part, but it's just easier when you're pinning, and I'll show you why later. After marking, we're gonna put our pockets down. I'm gonna show you how your Santa foot, that's what I'm calling the pocket, a Santa foot. We're gonna make sure that the Santa foot is pointing downwards, and you need to place your pocket over that marking that we made on your front and back pieces. Right now, I'm working on the front piece, putting down the pocket just like I'm showing you right now, front sides together, and I'm pinning it on the side seam, and I'm just gonna pin all my other pockets. So in total, you should have 2 fronts with 2 pockets on there and 2 backs with 2 pockets on there. So moving on, I'm just showing you that I'm using green thread. In the beginning, I showed you red and blue thread, but I decided to change it up at the last minute so it can match better. And I'm just gonna sew my pockets down at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just straight down. Right now, I'm just sewing down my other 3 pockets, a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, after I sewed all my pockets, I have my front piece and it looks like this on the left, and then I have one of my back pieces and it looks like this on the right. Your pockets should be mirroring each other from front to back. So your other 2 pieces that I'm not showing you right now, they should look the same. They should just be mirroring one another. And I'm just gonna grab my front piece right now because I'm gonna top stitch my pocket down so that it's not flapping or bulging out everywhere. I would suggest also doing this step for your back pieces. I didn't do that, and when I was trying to take pictures or whatever with my pants, it was bulging out and I didn't like it. So I wish I would have top stitched my back piece too. So I would just take all of your pockets and top stitch all of them like I'm showing you right now. And I'm just pinning it down, and I'm gonna be top stitching at 1/8 seam allowance. After I top stitched, it looks like this. I know it's really hard to see since my thread is green, but I just wanted to show you just in case you're following directions from the pattern. It should look like this, your 1/8 stitch. Next, you will take your front and your back piece and you're just gonna sandwich them together like I'm showing you here. And you're gonna pin them all the way around the edge, all the way down to your ankle. On your pockets, make sure that you are matching them, like sandwich them perfectly together, and pin them at the corners so it can be easier when you're sewing. You don't want to miss the pocket when you're sewing at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which I'm about to tell you guys to do that after I'm done pinning down my leg. But after you're pinning, you need to sew this entire section down at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and make sure that you catch the corners of the pocket. Right here, I'm just showing you my stitching of the 1/2 inch seam allowance that I wanted you guys to sew, and I made sure that I caught my corners so that my pockets aren't puckering. I know it's really hard to see right now because everything is green, but just bear with me. You see that my pocket is working out fine. I caught everything. Everything looks good. So then we're gonna move on to the Gucci trim, the most exciting part of the whole thing that makes it look expensive, the Gucci part. So this is my front piece attached to my back piece with my pocket already on it, and I have my trim going down 36 inches. However long your pants are, if you buy my pattern, that's how long your trim needs to be. And I'm just gonna start pinning it at the top. And yes, I'm not pinning it over my 1/2 inch. I'm not pinning it over my side seam. I'm pinning it on the side. The reason why I am pinning it on the side is because I was inspired by this Pinterest picture, and I noticed while the girl had her hands in her pockets that the trimming was on the side of the pocket, not directly on the pocket. And after I'm pinning down to where my pocket ends, I'm actually going to start pulling my trim over my side seam. like I'm showing you right here. I'm just making sure that my trim is directly covering my side seam, and I need you guys to do the same thing because this part is very important. If you don't get it right, then it's gonna look like knockoff Gucci, even though we're making knockoff Gucci. Like, yeah, so we're gonna try to make this look as professional as possible, so some people are gonna think it's real. And we want people to think it's real or looks good. Maybe even people are probably going to ask you to make them some fake Gucci. Who knows? But make sure that you pin it down right and pin it down on both sides. And then you're just going to sew that at a 1/8 seam allowance directly on the edge. If you can get as close to the edge as possible, that's what I want you to do. And I'm going to do that on both sides of my trim. And then I'm going to do that whole entire step process on my other side of my pants. Now I have my 2 pieces of my legs with both the trim pieces on there, and they both have pockets on it. We got the Gucci trim. They're looking really good right now. And now we're just gonna sandwich those 2 pieces together and we're gonna sew them on the crotch seams. I'm pinning down the front crotch right now, and then next I'm gonna pin down the back crotch, and we're gonna sew both those pieces at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After you sew your crotch seams, now you can just pull it apart and you'll be able to close the crotch now completely and the legs together like I'm showing in the video, if that made sense. And right now I'm just going to pin that crotch center front seam and the back seam together, and I'm going to pin my legs closed. After pinning down the inseam of the legs, I'm going to sew that at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After sewing this inseam, we're going to put this part of the pants to the side and we're going to grab our lining pieces. I am going to take a front and a back piece, just like we did earlier when we had our pockets attached. And I'm just going to pin it down on the side seams, the front and the back, and I'm going to sew that at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to repeat this step again for the other side of the legs. After you follow that process, you should have your linings look like this, and you just sandwich them together and you pin them at the crotch on the left and at the right, back sides together, left side together, and you sew that part at a 1/2 inch seam allowance like we did the green part of the pants. So I kind of lost the footage of showing you how to close this crotch part, inseam part of this lining, but it's the same steps as I showed you for the Gucci part of the pants, just we don't have pockets on the lining. Moving on though, we are going to take our linings and our Gucci part of our pants. I don't know what to call this part during this tutorial, so we're just gonna call this the Gucci part and the lining part. The Gucci part of the pants, we're gonna flip that inside out or right side out, make sure it looks all good, and then we're gonna take our lining and we're going to put that inside our pants like I'm showing you on the video. So again, we're just shoving in that lining and we're making sure that all of our seams are being covered up. On the outside, you shouldn't see any seams. And on the inside of your lining, you shouldn't see any seams. We're sandwiching those seams together, and then I'm going to pin it at the center back, pin it at the sides, and pin it at the center front, like I'm showing you here. And I'm just pinning it around in a circle because we are going to base stitch this part together. And then I'm going to repeat that same pinning method for the ends of my legs, just pinning the lining and the Gucci part of the fabric together around the edge in a circle motion, and I'm going to move on and do the same thing to the other leg. After pinning my legs and my waistband, I'm going to sew this at 1/4 seam allowance off the edge. The seams you do on the legs and the waistband, it doesn't have to look pretty. We just need it so that our fabric doesn't move on us when we're putting in our waistband later on. After you sew this part, you can just put this to the side because we're going to start working on our waistband pieces. Okay, so grabbing one piece of your waistband, it is actually 4 inches wide, so I'm just marking it at the half point at 2 inches, and I'm drawing a line down the middle of my waistband piece. And now I'm trying to find the direct center of it, which is about 10 inches for me, and I'm just marking a little dot right there. And then I'm actually going to find the center of 1/2 of this waistband because I need to put my grommets on that part. So just follow what I'm doing right now. I'm drawing in my 1/2 inch seam allowance because that's not included in where my grommets go, and I'm just going to mark a 1/2 inch on both sides and place my grommets at those dot points that I'm showing you. So now I'm just pulling out my grommet pieces, and I was getting a little confused because I didn't know how these work because I lost all my directions because my daughter took them. But I'm just drawing in a little circle of where I need to clip, and make sure that you clip enough that your grommet can go through it, but don't clip so much that you're making a bigger hole than your grommet is, because then it's going to look trashy, and then your knockoff is going to look like trash and not a knockoff. You're trying to have bougie Gucci. Just don't cut a bigger hole than your grommet. That's all I have to say. I had to make this piece about 3 times, so I wasted so much fabric just because I don't know how to clip right. So don't be like me. For the proper way how to use the grommet, I would just follow the directions that are on your packaging. I can't tell you how it actually works because I lost my directions. So yeah, just follow what I'm doing. I'm actually banging it down right now. I actually took mine outside because I needed to bang it a little harder because I wanted my grommets to look smooth and not rough and puckered up. But right now I am taking the 2 waistband pieces and I'm sandwiching them together at the side seams. After pinning, your waist should look something like this. And then I'm following those same directions for my 2 ankle pieces. I just sandwiched 2 pieces together and I'm pinning them on the side seams so I can sew those also at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, you guys, so the next part right here, I'm kind of doing the most when I'm trying to demonstrate this. I'm basically just folding the waistband over and I'm making sure that my side seams are matching. Make sure they're all going in one direction clockwise, because when we're going to put our elastic through, you want it to be easier for you and not get stuck on one end of the waistband. And then do the same thing for your ankle cups, making sure your side seams are all going in one direction clockwise or counterclockwise. Just make sure that they're going in the same direction. And I actually pin that down so that it will stay. Okay, so usually when I'm making these videos, I'm just going with the flow, figuring things out. So right here, I realized that I need to extend that center line and then actually make that center line for the back part of this waistband too, because I need to match them at the center front, center back, and the side seams on the pants. So I'm just extending those lines because I forgot. If you purchase the pattern, this part will already be on there for you. So yeah, I'm just extending those lines because I forgot. I don't know what I was thinking. I never make the patterns or do these videos what I'm gonna actually do. I figure it out as I go. So that's what's happening right here. And now I'm refolding over and making sure my side seams are matching, because now I'm going to place my waistband onto my pants. And just for all of you that make those comments that you can't get the waistband part because I go too fast, I have slowed this down as much as I possibly can just for you so you can get it. So I'm just going to play some music right now and you can watch me as I'm putting my waistband down. And so yeah, just follow what I'm doing. So I already pinned down the front part of the waistband. When I'm on the back part of the waistband, I'm just going to match it at those lines we created on it and match it to the actual pants. And then a 1/2 inch on both sides of that seam, I'm just going to pin it down and leave that opening. We need this opening so that we can slide our elastic through when we're done sewing down this waistband. So a 1/2 inch on one side, a 1/2 inch on the other side on the back seam. Once pinning was finished, my pants are gonna look something like this when I have my elastic through it. And then I'm just gonna continue that same direction for the ankle cuffs, leaving a 1/2 inch on the inseam or 1 inch on the inseam. Yeah, just following the same directions I did on the waistband for the ends of the cuffs. And then I'm going to sew that at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, making sure I'm not closing in that little opening we need for our elastic. So right here, I'm showing you how the waistband looks after you sew it down. And then I'm just going to continue doing that same 1/2 inch seam allowance on my ankle cuffs. This is what my ankle cuffs look like after I'm done sewing. I still have the pins in, which I'm about to remove it. But this is what it's going to look like without the elastic in it, and I still have my hole there. We're going to sew that down later. Off camera, I already put the elastic in on the waistband, and this is what it's going to look like with your hole still open. I haven't closed it yet, but this is what we're going to do. And I'm just going to demonstrate how I put the elastic in on the ankles. For the elastic pieces, I measured my ankle and I added 1 inch to that measurement, and I cut 2 pieces. And then for my waist, I measured my waist around my belly button and I added 1 inch to that measurement, and I cut 1 long piece. My waist is about 27 inches, so I made my elastic 28 inches long, and my ankle is 8 inches, so I made my elastic pieces 9 inches long each, and I cut 2 of those. And right now I just have a safety pin, and I'm just pinning that to one end, and I'm going to start sliding that through our ankle bands that we created earlier, and I'm just demonstrating that I'm just sliding it through, making sure that it's scrunching up correctly. When I advise that you would get a hard elastic, is because this soft elastic folds over once it's all scrunched up and it doesn't stay in a solid rectangle. So if you got the hard elastic, it's going to keep its shape how you originally want it to look. I didn't have any hard elastic because I'm too lazy and I spend too much money at the fabric store. So I'm not spending any more money. I'm going to use what I have because I am a hoarder of sewing things and fabric and elastic and all that stuff like that. Alright, so I'm just pushing through that elastic, and once I meet the other side, I am going to fold over those elastic pieces. Just overlap them whatever direction you want to, as long as your elastic is uniform all the way around. I'm just going to fold it over and I'm going to pin it down because I'm going to sew this little tiny section on the sewing machine, just one simple stitch. I had a hard time showing you guys this part, but you just stitch over that elastic and then I'm just pushing it right back through onto my waistband. It's not a waistband, it's the ankle band. I'm pushing it right through the ankle band and I'm just unscrunching it up, making sure my scrunches look even, and then I am going to sew that down. And yeah, I'm just gonna pin this part right here that I'm showing you, and we're going to sew that close at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I would advise that you catch a little bit of your elastic when you're doing this part. Just barely catch some of it so that your elastic will stay in place. And I am just going to follow these same steps for the other leg, and for my waistband I'm going to close up all of those holes, and your pants should look something like this when it's done. I'm just going to do the other leg off camera, but this is the difference between elastic and no elastic and your waistband. So everything is done already. I have all my elastics in, I closed all the holes, and now I just need to cipher through this rope through my waistband. I actually already glued the ends of my trim string, and I just glued one end of it and wrapped the glue around it as if it was like an actual shoestring, and I'm just gonna snip off the frayed ends, and I'm going to pin through a safety pin so that I can slide it through my pants, through my garment holes. And it's the same thing like we did on the ankle bands, it's just with a string. I am starting to get to the other end right now, and I'm just going to slide that through and make sure that my strings are even, and I'm just going to pull it and make sure it looks all good. At the ends, I am just going to double knot them. On the picture in the Gucci pants, hers actually looked knotted, so I'm just going to double knot mine. You could buy shoestring caps and put those on the ends. I can't find any, and I didn't want to order any on Amazon because, again, I buy too much stuff. I'm on a budget now. So I'm just going to tie the ends, and this is the end result of your pants. On the inside, I would serge mine, but I didn't have any green serger thread for my machine. So I'm just going to leave this how it is, and I'm going to serge it later. But yeah, you guys, this is the end of the Gucci tutorial. Your pants should look like mine no matter what colorway you decide to do. If you want to do Gucci or yellow or whatever, it should look like this, and they look so good. I've gotten so many compliments on my pants. But yeah, if you like this video, comment what you want to comment, like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys later. I finished the pants. Oh, I got a hairpin in my hair still. Yeah, so I finished the pants. Here they go. And I think, don't mind this part. I gotta pull them down. I got them up too high. I try to make everything into high-waisted. I really like them. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? What color would y'all do? Are you guys gonna do Gucci ones too? Or are you gonna do like a different color like the lady that I showed you, or the ladies that I showed you off my Pinterest inspiration? Because I think I want to make some in like purple or something like that. I don't have a lot of purple in my closet, so maybe make something out of purple. I don't know. Bang, 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 bang. Gucci, Gucci. I think they're cool. They're growing on me. I'm gonna wear them for like an hour and see how I feel.